Alrighty, hey everyone, Christian Yetke here to go over traditional masculinity and the ways of the Bible, not man. Today we're going over number 3, part 3, week 3, and let's dive right into it, guys. So we want to talk about learning self-control and mastering your emotions. Now I know we talked about this a little bit last week whenever we were talking about, the fruit of the spirit and how we were talking about self-control and being in there. So I wanted to go into a little bit more specific detail on self-control and mastery on your emotions. So plenty of good stuff here. There's just like so many I couldn't stop adding to it. But you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength by Marcus Aurelius. So the Stoics, they believed in logic and reason, right? The world tells us to live on our feelings and emotions. And if you've ever been in a situation in your life, which I'm sure everyone has, where they've listened to their feelings and emotions and lost all their self-control, things didn't work out well for them. But whenever you adopt this mentality, because anyone can, right? Anyone can adopt a mentality. You just have to rechange your mindset and readjust to it. But when you add in this thinking with logic and reason, it does you wonders, to say the least, and you can apply it in every area of your life. We have no control in outside events, no thing, no person, not the government, not the world, not anything, just how we react to a situation. So when we have control of that and we allow that to take its course in life, right? We are in control of ourselves, they are in control of themselves. And all we can do is work with ourselves. So have that control over your own self and not react on your feelings and emotions in the moment, right? The feelings and emotions are there to tell you something, but it was not to, hey, react, right? Just say and do and blah. It is, all right, lesson to learn, something to understand. Let's go about it. If you want to destroy any nation without war, make adultery or nudity common in the young generation by Sultan Saladin. I believe he was a sultan back in the 11th or 12th century or something along those lines. It's been a while since I looked at that. But anyways, so nearly a millennia ago, this guy was already talking about this back then. And honestly, since the Bible times, we were told about sexual immorality and whatnot and how common it was and how evil it was. So if you want to just destroy anyone, if you want to destroy an entire civilization, an entire group, an entire species, you allow them to have adultery, nudity, sex, porn. You allow them to have these things because there's nothing that has made a man weaker in life than a female's body. And that's just the honest truth, that there's been no drug or addiction or vice that's ever had the type of degree over a man as a woman. And that's not how it should be. A man should be in control of himself and should not allow that to dictate his entire life, because then you get to where we're at in today's world. If you've ever taken a look and seen where we're at on how people are, on how we are so full of, we're on OnlyFans, porn, guys can't even, they can't even go and talk to girls. Everyone's just swiping on their phones all day, whether it's on social media or death scrolling on Tinder and whatever all these platforms are. No one's talking, no one's doing what they should be anymore. And it's because they're scared, they're afraid, they're timid. And it's because they've allowed this type of area, this, sexuality, to overcome them and to take control over them. And I'm as guilty of this as anyone, because I lived that way for the majority of my life. And it was a hard thing to break from, but it was easily done, with God's help, of course. So if you're harmless, you're just weak. And if you're weak, you're not going to be good. You can't be, because it takes strength to be good. It's very difficult to be good. Jordan Peterson, whenever I'd heard him talk about this on Joe Rogan's podcast, I think I heard about it around 2 years ago. It was the first time I heard about it. And he was starting to talk about this concept of like, you have to be strong. And whenever he talks about that quote on meekness, something for another time. But whenever he goes into these, it just transformed my brain on how I think about things and how I interpret information. And it's like, I'm actually supposed to be, like, as a man, I'm actually supposed to be strong. I'm not supposed to be weak. I'm not supposed to be timid. I'm not supposed to be scared or afraid, shy. That's what everyone else is. And that's the problem, is that people is that that's how everyone else is right now. That's not how we used to be. That's the normal of today's world. That is not how we normally used to be. You should be capable of harming others, but that doesn't mean you should use it. Also, Jordan Peterson, we should be building ourselves up into being able to be in these strong, competent, savage beasts, but not allowing that to overcome and to just, do whatever we want with it, right? That's being weak. Being strong doesn't just mean being physically capable of lifting heavy weight or something. To be strong means that you can control you can control a situation, right? There's weak men and strong men. Weak men is those who react, right? You can have a giant 350-pound solid muscle beefy giant of a guy, and he can be a weak man because he's murdering, killing, raping, doing all these bad, evil things in the world. But if you're capable of the same degree of violence, but you do it to protect the innocent, well, then that's what we were called to do and be and work towards. It's a hell of a calling and a challenge, but nothing good in life comes easy. Right. So the only situation for bad and violent people are good people that are more skilled in violence. And that was a Japanese samurai code, Bushido. So many, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, centuries ago, people have been talking about this kind of stuff for a long time on what you need to do, what your role and job is as a man to be to protect the innocent, those who are weaker than you, those who are elderly, other children that are women, those that are not capable of doing these things. We don't want that to be our normal. We really don't. We don't want war, but we pray for peace, but we prepare for war, right? So you need to be prepared for battle, for war, for being capable of that whenever someone is weak, that they do come to harm your family, your friends, your whoever, even the innocent, someone you don't know. You need to be strong enough and capable enough to be able to combat that, because no one's they're going to stand against you. Absolutely. The enemy, sometimes they'll stand against you. A lot of the times they're going to run away because they're not used to being stood up to. But if you are strong and competent enough, right? Everyone wants competency. That's why people say they fake it till they make it. But if you actually put in the time and effort to be competent, to be smart, educated, strong, skilled, tactful, and you train yourself to be in those things, and then you can apply that in every area of your life, and then you have such a calmness about you, because you don't see these MMA fighters. Like, sure, I'm sure there's some that are gonna want to fight all the time, but when someone comes up and tries to start a fight with them in public, like they're like, dude, I know I can literally kill you with a single punch. I don't need to prove that because I'm very in control of myself, just because you're not. So getting yourself to being to this degree, to adopting this mindset, is kind of what I'm getting at with these points. But not all men seek rest and peace. Some are born with the spirit of the storm in their blood. Robert E. Howard. I love that one. Absolutely. Some are just absolutely destined to be savage warriors, and they fully believe in having that type of militaristic mindset of, not everyone's going to be capable or much less willing to want to live this type of way and train themselves to this degree, but I'm willing to. And I believe that every man should get to that point to some degree at least. But absolutely, for sure, being capable and competent in your skills of being able to protect and defend what is yours, you yourself, even. And you can't do that when you're weak, when you're scared, when you're timid, when you're playing video games, when you're playing with yourself all day. You can't do that, because there's nothing to respect there when you do that. But if you're capable and you're competent, there's respect there. It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Chinese proverb. And, I heard that from Joe Rogan as well, whenever he was talking with Jordan Peterson. And I was like, man, all these great quotes, these are phenomenal, phenomenal things to hear. And it's that people have been saying this for a long time. So there's been other men who have been thinking about this for a very long time, and coming across with these types of thoughts, philosophies, beliefs. A healthy person has 1,000 wishes, but a sick person has only one. Ancient Indian proverb. It's to be, if you're sick, all you want to be is the best you can be, right? We're all really sick these days. We all really want to be the best we can be. And to be that, means you have to suffer a bit. You have to go through these times and experiences and trainings and all this that builds you up. And it's all great. It sucks in the moment, but in the long run, it builds you up into being who you want to be. So I want to hit on those ideas about what we're talking about here of having that true self-control and mastery over your emotions, because then you can control yourself, you can anticipate, you can analyze a situation, you can understand how things are going. So those who see what goes on in the world, that I don't even think we can use the word man, some mentally unstable guy thinking he's a dog or whatever. But anyways, unfortunate events in the world that have allowed people to completely lose who they are in the very sense that they don't even have balls anymore, and or know what to do. Like, it's not okay to be weak. It never is, ever, because people don't understand what that means. You have social media, you have your addictions to all these things, you neglect your family, and that's where we're at in today's world. So prevalent is that they just want those instant hits of gratification and fun and dopamine little hits, and it really destroys families. you know so be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong, let all that you do be done in love. 1 Corinthians 16, 13, 14. Be watchful, be aware, be cognizant of what's going on around you, right? See what's going on, hear what's going on, watch and analyze what is going on around you. Don't just be caught up in the feels and the emotions of what everyone else is doing and being like, okay, everyone else is doing that, everyone else is going here, everyone else is seeing and watching and believing and listening to. It's like, let me think about this for myself. Let me think for myself. What is going on? Be watchful, be cognizant of what's going on around you. Stand firm in the faith. Straightforward. Standing firm, as in you stand your ground, as in I know what my faith is, I know what my belief is, I know where my strength it comes from. I'm standing in that. I'm not gonna crumble just because everyone else does around me. Act like a man. What we're talking about during this entire thing. What is a man? How are you supposed to act and what are you supposed to do? It is not to be scared, it is not to be timid, it is not to be weak, it is not to run away from the enemy. We're there to stand our ground and to fight against the lies of the world, the evil, the deception, the flesh. Be strong. Well, guess what? The opposite of being strong is being weak. So if you're weak, you can't be strong. Let everything that you do be done in love. Obviously, when I'm saying love, I'm not saying that we're going to go paint each other's fingernails and all that kind of crap. No, it's doing things in a loving way, that treating others the way you want to be treated. But it's not saying that you just show your belly. You're not just like laying down and allowing like them to walk all over you. You do things in a loving, proper way, but you are straightforward and stern about what you say, and you're going to be direct about it. Now, everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For a man's anger does not bring about the righteousness of God, James 1, 19, 20. Quick to hear, right? So hear what's going on. Take in, whatever it is that people may be talking to you, speaking to you about. Take everything in so you hear it all. Be fast, quick to hear. Like, listen to what's going on, but slow to speak, as in stop, wait, analyze. Think about what's been going on, what is going on, what's the situation about. It's all about analyzing it. You're not just going to react. You're going to be slow to speak, because you don't want to just react on, wait, what? And go off on a tangent and being all mad. Slow to anger. You're not getting mad about a situation. Don't allow anger to overcome and to corrupt you. All right. Take the time, deal with the situation. Don't allow the emotions to get in the way of it. Deal with your logic, reasons, the facts of the situation. Because anger, it doesn't bring, justice. It doesn't bring righteousness. You need to be going about things in more of a thinking about it and dealing with the situation than a just reacting towards it type of situation. So like a city that is broken into and without walls, so is a person who has no self-control over his spirit. Proverbs 25:28. What happens, especially back then, right, when people would be breaking in, right, there'd be wars between cities and whatnot, and whenever they would break in through the walls, they'd come into the doors, they'd jump over the walls, they'd, whatever the case is, whenever the enemy got inside the gates, that's whenever they're really screwed who are inside the gates, because now the enemy has gotten in, right? It's easier to defend from the outside because nothing's getting in. So whenever you allow these thoughts, those emotions to dictate your life and to overcome you, that is whenever you're allowing those things to overcome your wall. Now, I'm not saying wall, I'm not saying these four builders, these four, you know, that these four walls that are built up and are strong and reinforced and impenetrable. I'm not saying these as in you wall yourself off to people and things and feelings and emotions. I'm not saying that you shove these emotions deep down as we're told to do, especially as men. You don't show feelings and emotions. You just shove it way deep down and forget about it. I'm not saying any of that because all that's BS. It's a lie. What I'm talking about is these walls that you are your wall. When you don't allow things to penetrate you, to come in, then they can't corrupt you. All they can do is just hit the outside and annoy you, but you don't allow them to come in, right? You don't allow them to break open the walls, break down the walls, break open through the doors to overcome, any part of you. Build up the wall, intensify it, strengthen it, harden it, and don't allow those lies and those little seemingly meaningless instances in life that annoy you and can be really stupid, but they don't dictate your life. Don't allow them to. Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, for once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. No one is to say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted by evil, and God himself does not tempt anyone. James 1, 12, 13. Persevere under trial, as in, yes, you're going to go through trials and tribulations, and you're going to suffer and go through pain and have people stab you in the back and lie and cheat and steal for your entire life. You're going to have those types of situations in life, but keep going, even though you go through them, right? Doesn't mean you learn something from that. Anytime anything bad happens in life, you learn from it. And that's the greatest thing, that you can do, is to learn from a thing that did not work out. Any failure, right? Any failure that didn't at least go well, you learn something from it. That's what matters most, is that you learn something from whenever things do not go right. Because whenever, once it's been approved, whenever you've proven yourself of overcoming these obstacles and challenges and these lies from the world, when you overcome that and you're like, okay, been doing this for a while, none of this stuff gets to me anymore, deal with the situation, give it over to God, forgive them for, stabbing me in the back and screwing me over, and whatever the case is. When you get to that kind of point, then it's like, okay, he's been through the fire. I know I can work with and I can trust him. I know that he will do his job because he's proven it. Now I can give him the crown of life, right? That God's promised to those who love him. That's what, whenever God's able to come in and be like, all right, cool. Like, you've gone through the training, you've gone through your boot camp, and now I can promote you to the next level of going on to life, whatever that is for each person. And again, it's easy to know, because if anything's tempting in life, it's not, it's not from God, because God doesn't tempt. And if anything's bad and you think you should do it, well, then you shouldn't do it, because God doesn't allow anything bad. He doesn't want that to happen. Doesn't mean he can't he doesn't mean he can't create something good from a bad situation and from our mistakes, but he's not going to intentionally tell you to go do bad, evil, wrong things. So I want to talk about this thing. Because bad, again, like I said, bad was always going to happen. You're going to be the one to choose. You choose, not anything or anyone else, not you, your wife, your kids, your parents, anyone. You choose what happens to you. You choose how you react to a situation, because you're always going to have something that goes on in life. It will always happen, no matter what. So think of things in the best case, worst case scenario, right? This is a Stoic trait called negative visualization. What is the worst thing that could happen? I could die. She could leave me. She could, not even go out with me. I could lose the kids. I could lose the house. I could lose the job. What is the worst thing for you? What is your biggest fear in that moment that you are dead afraid of? What is it? What is the worst thing possible case scenario for you in that moment? And then what is the best? The whole riding off into the sunset, right? With the girl, right? You made it. You got the whole day. Woo, everything's good. That's just a big fantasy. It's not real, but let's just act like it is for this analogy. What is the worst case and best case scenario that you could have, right? The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive, Seneca. So when you think of things beforehand on what they could be, what they could do, what is that worst thing that could happen to me? Okay, now that I've brought it to light, now that I've actually given it a name and an idea, what is this thing in front of me that I'm dead afraid of? Okay, well, now that I see it, now that I know what it is, if it comes up, now I'm not blindsided by it. I'm not shaken by it because I already anticipated if this happens, then I know what to do, right? Worst case scenario, I know what to deal with. Best case scenario, awesome. And there's a whole lot of in between with that. But go into situations, apply this to every area of your life, every conversation, every business deal, every thought, every belief, everything you work on, work towards, meditate on, whatever it is. What is the best and worst case scenario? And then how can you structure it and visualize it and think about it that it doesn't have, that it's not going to blindside you if the worst thing happens. Doesn't mean it's not going to suck. Doesn't mean you're not going to hurt. It doesn't mean you're not going to really wish it didn't happen and you're not going to want the good thing to happen. But it means that it's not going to blindside you and it's not going to screw you over, at least not as much as if it was to come out of nowhere, right? So work on negative visualization, right? Stoics came up with it a long ass time ago, and that is for a reason because they know what they're talking about. And when you apply that to your life, it really helps out. Now, the big thing that no one ever really wants to talk about because it's so icky, it's so weird. Let's not talk about the biggest problem, porn. Such a problem. Now, granted, I know because I fell for this for a good portion of my life as well. So I know it just as good as any other guy who's always fallen in. Because like I said earlier, any guy's biggest problem and biggest drug, the most intense problem, vice, control, anything that's ever had any kind of a grip over a man more than anything else has always been a woman's body, sex. It has been. And it has been since literally the beginning of time. Like they've been telling us this for forever, right? Now I'll probably get into that later because of other stuff. But anyways, since the beginning of time, when a man did not do what he was supposed to do and do what was right just because a woman was involved, he screwed over not only himself, but her and everyone else that comes from it, right? Their kids and the whole world. That's what Adam did with Eve. He screwed everyone over because he didn't do his job. But we'll talk about that in the future. But porn is messed up. It is so bad. It is so bad for us. And I'm not even going to go through all the stats and statistics, the ideas, the like you've been through it, right? I don't think I've ever met a guy who hasn't watched porn and been susceptible to it or anything of the sort, right? It is so common in today's world. Now, it didn't used to be, but with social media, now it's become so normalized and so prevalent that everyone's doing it. I think like the average age of I think the average age is like 7 years old that sees it now. I believe that's about what it was. It was 7 or 9. But they're seeing it as children before they even know how to ride a bike or something. They are seeing this kind of stuff and it really messes with you. There's a whole lot of science and psychology and scientific stuff that messes with your body and your mind when you're exposed to this stuff at this age, much less that now you have an addiction towards it. So think of yourself, ask yourself these questions and think about it when you're dealing with it. Like, is it even good? Like, do you actually think it's good? Like, no, you don't feel good about it. You don't feel happy about watching it. You don't go and sit down and watch this with your friends and family. You're not doing that. You go watch a nice, cool movie or a TV show with them, but you're not going to watch porn with those kinds of people. You're doing this in secret at night, behind locked, closed doors. You're doing this in secret, which you already know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. You don't feel good from it. It doesn't help you. So would you watch it with anyone? Because remember, God's watching you. He's omnipresent. He is everywhere at all times. So he's always with you. So he's there with you when you're watching it. And it's like that hurts him. Like, it's like, yeah, my kid's like watching this. It sucks. I wish he would not. If you were to record yourself masturbating, or would you want to watch that? Would you want someone else to watch that video about you? The answer is no. So why would you watch it? Why would you be a part of it? I'll talk more about about porn and specifics about it later on, but I just want to hit on it very specifically because if you don't have the self-control to not watch that, to delete it, cut it out, no more. If you don't have that kind of self-control over yourself, well, then what kind of self-control do you think you're going to have over anyone else or any other area of your life? Self-control is not a one area of my life kind of thing. You apply that to every area of your life. Now, as you're just starting out, obviously you won't have it in every area, but over the weeks and months and years, you will adopt it to every area of your life. You're going to start at waking up at 4. And then after you're like, well, now I'm up, I might as well go for a run. Well, now I'm going for a run. Now I'm going to push myself. Well, now I'm going to go further and further. Well, now that I feel good that I did something, now I'm going to go to work on time. Well, let me eat first. Let me eat something good. I have time to cook it. Well, see, now I'm not so stressed because I had a hard day. I feel better from the run. So now I don't need to watch porn. Things will build and progress over time as you go through it. But you need, but this industry is the single biggest worst thing that has happened to any type of guy, any man. It makes you less than. It honestly does. Like, whoever wants to disagree with that, by all means, you have your opinion and it's wrong. But partaking in anything of the porn sexual industry, unless you're married, then it's okay. But if you're watching this porn, doing anything in the sexual industry, it is not good. God has told us that since the beginning in the Bible, and He's like, promiscuity, sexual things is like, this is bad when you're doing about it in the wrong way, right? It is difficult to free fools from the chains they volunteer. So again, like we build our own chains. Like, these are the chains. These are what we do to keep ourselves imprisoned, and we're doing that on ourselves, all by ourselves. And it sucks, of course. Now, again, it's not like it's obviously the enemy, and he comes in and he messes with you. And again, he knows what the weakness is. Every man's weakness has always been a female, so he's able to bring that in there. And once you add one link to one chain, or you add a link and then another link and a link, you have a chain. That chain will build and grow from more chains. So if you are ruled by mind, you are a king. If by body, a slave. Cato the Elder. So just like we've been saying and talking about, we have the body, mind, and soul, right? So the soul is what matters most, right? We are a soul with a body. So the soul is the most important, and with it, we are given this flesh, which is so weak, right? The soul is strong, but the flesh is so weak. The mediator between the two is the mind, because the mind is what controls, is what hears from the spirit and tells the body what to do. That is what the mind's job is. So when your mind is giving into the weakness, well, then that's whenever you're doing all these things of watching porn and staying in bed and not working out, and not taking care of yourself and eating crap food. But if you live by the mind, you let the mind control the flesh, which is so weak. So if you can overcome the flesh, then you are way ahead of the game. You are much stronger than you can understand, because then the mind will do what it says, and it does what is right. And the spirit is going to guide you in that way of telling you what is right and wrong, good and bad. So if the flesh, your body, if that is in control of you, well, then you're a slave to it. I'm not sure if that word means anything to anyone else, but to be a slave to something does not sound great in my eyes. I don't want to be a slave to anything or anyone. So I'll be in control of that, and I'll live by the one who tells me and guides me in a relationship-based way, a relationship with God, not my servitude or my slavery towards the flesh, which is momentary. And you don't even feel good, especially after watching porn. You know how mad you are at yourself. You know how much you're pissed at yourself, and how you're just like, I hate myself so much more because I did this thing. But it was so good for those couple of seconds. It was a lot of fun. So I'm going to chase that thing. That's that chasing happiness and fun, that we talked about. Don't chase that. Chase the long-term stuff. Therefore, treat the parts of your earthly body as dead to sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and greed, which amounts to idolatry. For it is because of these things that the wrath of God is coming upon the sons of disobedience. Colossians 3:5-6. because we are doing these things, we are given into the earthly body, right? And again, it doesn't mean that you don't get to have fun and relax at times, but the form of which you take, that's what matters. If you are watching the porn, it's not good ever, period. Right? Whether you're married or not, you don't partake in it. So if you do, it's a bad thing, doesn't exactly make God happy. So God is coming upon the sons of disobedience. So if we are being disobedient and we are going against these things, then he's not going to be happy with us. And nor should he. And nor should he be by any means giving us a slap on the wrist. He should boldly scold us as much as he can to whatever degree he sees fit for our sins. And that's for every sin. That's not even just this one. This one just happens to be the most prevalent to guys. But get out of these forms of sexual immorality, all forms of it, right? Looking at pictures, watching videos, partaking in it, thinking about it, believing it, having the lustful mind all the time. That's going to come, of course, and you can, command that to go away. But when you partake in it, that's whenever you are allowing that thought to take you captive and you are giving into it. It's a hard battle. Honestly, it's one of the hardest. It is one of the hardest, if not the hardest battle, I think, for any guys to overcome this area of sexual gratification and want and desire. And that comes from so many different backgrounds of why you even give into it in the first place. And again, that's a whole other type of thing we're not able to get into. But I just want to go over this very basic thing of stop it. Stop watching it. It is so bad. So walk the walk. People are able to talk a big game all day, and they do it all the time. They talk and talk and talk. No one does it. Be the one who does it. Be the one who walks. Courage is contagious. When a brave man takes a stand, the spines of others are often stiffened, by Billy Graham. Everyone likes those movies, right? Every movie is all about the one, the person who stood up against all adversity, against the powers that be, right? Whether that's the Hunger Games and with Katniss Everdeen, not even doing it intentionally, but just doing it to protect her sister. Whether that's William Wallace and Braveheart, and he stood up not because he wanted to. He wanted to have a nice, relaxed family and live his farm life with a family that he fought and wanted for so long. But then, they came in, killed his wife, and then he's like, all right, bet. And he lost it, and he killed them all. But what happened whenever he started to go at it? He didn't go at it with a plan with everyone else in this. I'm just talking from the movie reference, not even all the historical facts, but just from the movie reference. All the other guys, right? Everyone else in the village, they came up and they started taking out and killing all the other guards, right? All the other Englishmen. And then, later on that night after they won and taken over, the guys from the clan next to theirs, I guess it was, they came in the middle of the night and they're like, hey, we heard that you guys were pretty much starting a revolution. We won in. People will stand up and find their spine, find their balls whenever someone else is willing to stand up and actually live that and actually be walking it. Because people talk about revolution, people talk about standing firm in the faith, right? People talk about things all day, but who is actually willing to take the time to do it, right? How many of you are willing to actually stand up and fight against and talk out against and work against the flesh, the lies of the enemy? How many are you willing to actually walk the walk? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. 1 John 3:18. Words are great. No one cares. Words are just, it's talk. And I've heard a lot of talk in my life. I've done a lot of talk in my life, and it didn't mean jack until I actually put the actions in place. Do and then be. It'd be great if we could be and then do it. But that's not where we're at in today's world, and it's hard to be that way. So do the actions and be the person, right? It's what we talked about before. Take the actions, walk the walk, be the one with the spine that everyone else is going to see. And by the way, it's going to be lonely. It will absolutely be lonely when you're the one. It's one, single, like one. One is lonely. That path is lonely, and it will be for a while. Eventually, others will stiffen their spines and they will come and join you in the fight, whatever that is. whether that's your fight against porn, whether that's your fight against some drug addiction, whether that's your fight to be in and go to church or at work or whatever the case is, healing from some past uh, hurt. There's going to be people that will eventually join, but no one wants to be the one to stand up first, and it's a shame. It really sucks to see that, because we all used to live by this, and we all used to be the one. So it used to be a group. Now we're not there anymore. We need to get back to that. Obedience is better than sacrifice. 1 Samuel 15:22. People can do some stuff, and that's nice. But obedience is a heart posture. It is when they actually turn their hearts and are willing to say and accept and believe that what they're doing, that they're told to do, obedience from God, right? What the Bible says, self-control. Let's just stick with that one for now. That with self-control, I will obey what God says and have self-control. That means I have to fight off all these fleshes and lies and addictions. And that's hard. It is very hard. And you will spend every day for the rest of your life in every situation fighting that. But you don't fight things and they get weaker. You fight things and you get stronger, right? Talked about this before. You get stronger in situations whenever you face them, and you get so used to them that's like, all right, this doesn't even affect me anymore. Like, I don't feel it. So great, I've overcome that. Doesn't mean it won't, but if you stop fighting against it, then you'll lose that sense of strength in that area, and it can always come back. So you never forget where you've been, what you've overcome. You always fight against it, whatever that is, right? You overcome watching porn, then great. But if you stop focusing on that self-control and not giving into it, eventually days, weeks, months later, years later, you can fall back into it if you don't stand firm in it. So obedience is going to be the heart posture of why you do what you do, not because it's easy, not because it's fun, not because it's simple even. And it takes a lot out of you. It takes everything of you, honestly. But then sacrifice, right? Because they would sacrifice things. And it's like if you actually obey God and do what he wants from the heart, that means more than if you just were to go make these animal sacrifices for whatever it is and for whatever your situation is. And you just sacrifice it. Because you're not changing your heart. That's like going to church. Like that's why in today's world there's like today's Christians, or today's Christians, I should say, because they will go to church once a week, hear some preacher talk, hear some Bible verses, and call it a day. That's like doing that, but not reading the Bible for yourself every day. That's not praying to God every day and spending time with him. It's not having a relationship with him. That's not knowing what the Bible says and actually partaking into it or taking it into practice every single day and what you learn. It's like, oh, wow, it says this. I need to stop being arrogant. Oh, I need to stop being, I need to stop being promiscuous. I need to stop being selfish. I need to start having self-control. And you find out and you read and you start applying those in your life. That means more than if you were to just go to church because it's like a check in the box, right? Okay, I went to church, so I'm good with God. I lived like that for most of my life as well. And that's how so many people are prevalent in today's world. Like, that is so normal. And I really want to get us back to having that self-control, that relationship with God, and doing things for the right reason, not because we think it's going to get us brownie points. Another really hard one that people are dead afraid of doing, and that is telling the truth. And not only telling the truth, but going out and intentionally correcting a lie. Even, you could even take it to that degree, which would be phenomenal, because then you can get healing from whatever that past hurt, problem, trauma, situation thing is. Because it's hard to tell the truth. It really is. No one wants to be the one who did the wrong thing, said the wrong thing, whatever the case is. But doing the right thing and telling the truth, no matter what it is, right? So if you've been a sleazeball and you've been cheating on your spouse at all, first of all, stop it. And then go and repent, right? Go ask, go tell her. And, whether she leaves you, she has grounds for it. It's in today's world, at least, she has grounds for it. And it's not a good thing. It's not a right thing, but go and ask for that and go tell the truth. Go right those wrongs. Go ask for that forgiveness, or at least tell others that you forgive them, whether they forgive you or not, whatever the case is. Go tell them that, hey, you hurt me in the past, whether they care or not, it doesn't matter. Is, hey, you did this thing, and I was so angry and had so much resentment towards you, but I forgive you. Probably doesn't mean anything to them, or if it doesn't, but tell them, I forgive you. So no matter what, tell the truth. When a situation happens, you're late for work. Oh, I was in traffic. It's like, nope, I woke up late. Don't think that a minor lie, that a little white lie, that a half truth. Don't think any of that is a truth. There's a truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That's what the truth is. It is not what I deem the truth or what I want other people to know. So tell the truth in every situation. And you can only tell the truth to others when you are true to yourself. So if you haven't dealt those problems, those lies, those situations in your past, even or current state, you have to tell the truth and deal with whatever those are in that time and moment. So if you don't know what that truth is, that's something to seek. And it sucks because you have to face it. That means if you have to actually want to know what the truth is, the actual answer to what's going on, and you have to want to face it. And not because you want to, but because it is the right thing to do. And that is gonna be the thing that really makes you grow and helps you overcome those problems. So right is right, even if no one is doing it. Wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. Augustine of Hippo. Right is right, wrong is wrong. So it doesn't matter what the sheep are doing. It doesn't matter what the whole world is doing. What you do is what matters. What your heart posture is what matters. The words that come from your tongue, that's what matters. So just because everyone else around you is lying, cheating, stealing, living for the world, the flesh, that's completely your choice on whether you want to continue to be around that, just to have friends. There's enough groups in the world that there's plenty of people, churches, Bible study, fellowships, gym rats. There's all different types of groups of different types of people that don't live for the world, that don't stay out and party all night. You can be a part of them, but you have to want to make that choice and you have to be true to yourself. Is my truth partying, drinking, sleeping around, doing drugs, living for the world, getting nowhere in life, and always feeling miserable until I drink enough to forget for the short time it is? Or do I want to live true to myself and actually become something and someone? Do I actually want to put in the work to become whoever that is? Do not lie to one another, since you stripped off the old self with its evil practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed to a true knowledge according to the image of the one who created it. Colossians 3:9-10. If you are wanting to strip away that sin, that lie, right, whatever that evil part is, that demon, whatever it is, if you are wanting to get rid of that, God's there. He's like, I'll take that chain, I'll break it, I'll get rid of it for you, but you have to hand it over, because chains aren't shackled to us. We hold them, we hold the chains. But the chains, they don't feel heavy, but they might feel nice. But you have to give those over. Whether you have 100 chains on you and you only give one over or something, it's one less, but you have 99 to go. So you can be stripped of that stuff. You can lose the old, the evil, the bad, and you can have the good, the new, the life brought to you. But that's going to be on you, and you have to be wanting to face that truth, which sucks. That means you have to face some stuff from your past or present that you're hiding from and that you have to deal with. It sucks, but tell them the truth. So there's this ancient Roman poet named Juvenal, and he's got this famous saying of give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. When we look at this, we see the Colosseum. When and why was the Colosseum created? It's because people were, again, I'm not a historian, but from the people who are that I listen to, they wouldn't revolt. They would go against the government. They would be not exactly happy with the way that they were living, the amount of work that they were putting in and being screwed over, taxation, all the stuff. And when you look at that, the Coliseum was created as a distraction, as a form of entertainment. That was like, hey, every week, guys, come on by, come watch this amazing thing at the time. And it's like, okay, cool, we'll do that. And then you forget all about your why, what you're doing, and your reasoning in life. So when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. Viktor Frankl, phenomenal phenomenal psychologist and philosopher. And so he's really, we should really, well, I'll talk more about him, I think on week 9 specifically, but he's phenomenal and it's worth reading his books. But as for you, use self-restraint in all things, endure hardship, do the work of an evangelist, fulfill your ministry. 2 Timothy 4:5. If we live in these distractions, the bread, right? Food, drink, circuses, pleasure, entertainment, phones, TVs, porn, all these things that we are allowing to dictate our life and we are living for, right? People are living for the weekend. And we say, and we go, oh, I'm going to work I can't wait till it's Friday. Oh God, I can't believe it's Monday. Why should we live our lives of hating a certain day and loving a certain day, right? Why do we have to work all day, all week to get to a point just so we can spend all that money on, or whatever's left of the money, on pleasure and entertainment that distract us, right? There's a lot more better fun things in the world that you can do for entertainment and distractions and that are good, like actually spending time with friends and family, spending time in the word and reading and praying with other people, just going to staying home and watching a movie or going out to watch a movie. There's a lot of other things that people can do in their life and their time that they can have fun and relax and go watch that movie. But when you make that your nightly, your entire weekend, whenever you make that such a normalization in your life, that it's like, okay, what are you doing? Like, what are you actually doing? Are you just existing in life? So if you don't have that sense of meaning, you find that purpose, well, then, yeah, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to do anything. And you're just going to find something to drown out the noise of this constant little voice that's always telling you, you could be doing something else. You could be doing that thing over there, but we're not going to because it's hard, or because, I just don't believe I'm built for that, or I don't believe in that, or know that, or work towards that, or find that interesting now. So it means I never will, right? You don't know until you don't know what you don't know. So, anyways, I just want to talk about this because we are so living in distractions. We have entertainment at our fingertips of every kind everywhere. You have porn, you have Amazon, you have DoorDash, all that stuff. So you can get everything at your fingertips and not move a muscle and just lay still on a couch all day in comfort. And where is that going to get you? You never feel anything good from it. You just keep trying to find something to take your mind off the fact that you are being lazy and doing nothing in your life. Great thing is that once you are willing to change and make that very simple, let me just go do this thing. Let me just go to the gym. Let me just go for that run. Let me actually just stop eating these foods. Let me just start eating healthy. Let me actually go to bed at a certain hour. Let me get up at a certain hour. Let me get a good night of sleep. Let me just tell myself that I'm going to be doing this good thing in today and do it, actually live up to it. Let me not allow these other outside distractions to dictate my life and how I do things. Let me learn self-control. Responsibility. Both the taking responsibility for your actions. Like I said, if you were a sleazeball and you cheated on your spouse, and whether that's through porn or whether you were actually just sleeping with the secretary, go and ask for forgiveness for it. Go and actually face the lie and face it with the truth and overcome the lie and the evil and all the stuff with good, with God, and He will guide you. Whether good or bad things happen, doesn't matter. It's, or whatever comes from it, it's going to be for a good reason. There's never a bad. You should never not do something, much less the right thing, even if it sucks and it hurts. So in anger, we should refrain both from speech and action. Pythagoras. So, like we were talking about before, do not react to a situation. Do not just be angry and mad and react. The emotions and the feelings, they will tell you what you're feeling in the moment, but you do not need to react. So whenever you do something wrong, whether you make the copy wrong, whether you make that coffee order wrong, whether you screw up on a job site and don't do something safety hazard or some kind of whatever, take responsibility for your actions. And not only take responsibility for the actions, but learn responsibility in general. If you don't know what it is, then go take something on that's responsible. Go to bed at a decent hour. Go to bed at 8, 9, 10 o'clock. Go wake up at 4, 5, or 6. Go give yourself a set time to go to bed and to wake up, and do that. You have responsibility over yourself to do that. Then you can learn how to, Do I know how to cook? Can I make food? Like basic stuff. It's not that hard to make food. Can I make my own breakfast? Can I make some scrambled eggs and bacon? Okay. Can I do the dishes and clean up after myself? Can I get to work on time? Can I even get a job? Can I do that job and learn it? Can I do it well? These are very simple, basic things that we can learn. That's what chores were all about to teach us is, can you do something around the house that's going to help benefit others and you put in that work, right? Now, people are like paying their kids now to do chores. And I'm like, that's completely wrong and how it should not be done. But, whatever the opinion that's worth. But you teach them and train them that they do things and you teach them these skills when they're young. And if you weren't taught that, then start doing it for yourself, right? Don't wait for someone else to come around to be your dad and do the stuff, whether you have one or not, whether they are good or not, whether they teach you these things or not, whether they live up to these or not. That's not what the excuse you're living by anymore. You're living by, I want better for myself. I'm going to demand better of myself. I'm going to work towards it. Doesn't mean you're not going to screw up and fail. Doesn't mean you're not going to do something wrong. Doesn't mean you're not going to screw up. Doesn't mean you're not going to have some hard lessons that are going to knock you down. It means you're going to get back up and you're going to keep trying and you're going to learn from those failures and mistakes. Rejoice, young man, during your childhood, and let your heart be pleasant during the days of young manhood, and follow the impulses of your heart and the desires of your eyes. Yet know that God will bring you to judgment for all these things. So remove sorrow from your heart and keep pain away from your body, because childhood and the prime of life are fleeting. Ecclesiastes 11:9-10. So in the first part, it's like, oh, you had me in the beginning part. It says, have fun, hang out, do whatever I want, have no care in the world. Awesome. And it's like, oh, but if I do that, then I'm going to be judged. So do I want to give in to that flesh in the world and be judged for it? Or do I want to overcome it? Do I want to know that whatever my actions are you're going to pay for there's consequences for every action, good or bad, right or wrong. So you're going to be dealing with that no matter what at some point in time. So do you want those actions, those thoughts, your ability, your capability that you have endless potential for? Do you want that to be something that's good or bad? So that's why I talk about taking responsibility and also taking on responsibility. Whenever you're able to take those on and start to learn and grow and understand and build yourself up, then you can take on more new responsibility, from taking out the trash as a kid to mowing the lawn to, eventually building up that now you're able to take on more responsibilities at your job, and then they can trust you more, then they pay you more, then you become a bigger part of that company and do more big things, or start your own business. And then you take on all the responsibility for everything because it's just you. Take it on, learn it. And that's a long path. And, that's a rough one as well, but also worth it. So guys, I just want to finish off with that one and remind you that, again, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. He, he doesn't make anyone perfect. Again, only Yeshua is, but we're not going to be perfect. No matter what we do, we will never grow into being perfection. So holding off, waiting to be a perfect thing, to do the right perfect thing, to keep building things up. I spent 2 years working on this. I made an initial series, a few videos a year ago, a little over a year ago, and now I spent 6 months that I waited to make these videos, and I'm like, I can keep adding to it. I can keep making it better. I can keep structuring it different. I can keep adding and building and growing. But it's like, no, take a step forward, guys. Take that step forward in your life. Do what you can, do what you're able to, and learn from it. Intentionally fail forward. Go do the stuff. Go learn the self-control, right? Go into traffic with the foreknowledge, the negative visualization that you're angry and that you hate it and you lie or you cuss and then just yell, cuss, get mad at everyone, want to get out and fight and everything. Go into it with that and tell yourself, I'm not going to do it. Get that self-control. Don't allow those emotions of annoyance and aggravation to overcome you, to dictate your life. We are called to be so much more. You are called to be and do so much more. And once you actually are willing to accept and believe that and take those steps forward, you won't be able to you won't be able to see it till you see it. But taking those steps forward and getting that control and overcoming yourself, that is so worth it, guys. So remember, if you God has called everyone, the Great Commission, we are all called to spread his word, to be good stewards, to help those in need. We were all called. The harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. You can be a worker or you can be a watcher. Watchers get nothing. They do nothing. And you get no satisfaction knowing that you did anything. But if you want to go be a worker, if you want to go be a harvester, if you want to go help and do good, man, it's so worth it. I can't explain to you how worth it is because I never believed that I could be where I'm at because I didn't believe I qualified. And then I finally learned and heard and accepted that he qualifies the called, that I was not qualified. I did not have the same ambitions and beliefs and understandings and desires and passions, purposes, or anything. I didn't have anything good my entire life, which obviously led me to not caring, believing, or wanting anything good. But then eventually, he got a hold of me, made me go through a few things, and he's like, I need you for a purpose. I need you to go do this thing. Like, I need you to go do this stuff. Once I finally heard him say that, and I understood it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, fine, I'll do it. Like, I still don't believe I'm worthy because I'm not, but he said he will do that. He will make me worthy. He will qualify me. He will help and guide me. I'm nothing but an open, empty vessel for him to use. Right? That's it. And there's nothing that is ever satisfied or come with there's nothing holds a candle to the feeling and sense of accomplishment that being used by God has ever given me. Nothing else. Nothing. No drug, no stimulant, no porn, no TV, no girl, no nothing has ever given me that same or even remotely close to the same thought, feeling, or belief of what God has been like. I got you for this. I need you for that. And sometimes he throws me a little treat and he's like, yeah, I'm going to let you see that. I'm going to let you feel the pride and the sense of accomplishment that, I got to be used for his kingdom. So I just want to remind you guys that you, there's so much more to you. And you just have to find it. You have to be willing to go in and find who you are. And you have to allow God to guide you in that. So any questions, guys, let me know. I'd love to hear any questions or thoughts of anything you guys have. And until next week, I'll talk to you guys later. Hope this was able to help and you gained something from it. Hope you all have a very blessed week. And take care.